Phan Trọng xin kính chào quý vị. Kính thưa quý vị, chúng tôi đến với quý vị từ thành phố San Antonio. Như quý vị đã biết là chúng tôi rất là thích thú khi được tiếp chuyện với các bạn trẻ Việt Nam sinh ra và lớn lên tại Mỹ. Một người khách hôm nay rất là đặc biệt mà chúng tôi đem đến cho quý vị là em Lê An. Em đến từ thành phố New York. Tên tiếng Anh của em là Ray Lê. Em Ray ra trường từ New York University với cái bằng cử nhân về làm phim và một bằng cử nhân nữa về anh văn. Và em Ray đi học tại New York University thì em được học về cello, chơi đàn đại vĩ cầm ở trường Juilliard, là một trong những trường rất là nổi tiếng dạy về âm nhạc. Mới đây Ray làm một cuốn phim rất là, chúng tôi nghĩ là rất là cảm động, về một cái câu chuyện, một cái hành trình vượt biển của đồng bào chúng ta. Từ khoảng năm 1978 có hàng trăm ngàn người Việt Nam đã thà chết trên đại dương còn hơn là sống ở Việt Nam. Họ đã vượt biển. Và cái câu chuyện vượt biển của người Việt Nam chúng ta, thưa quý vị, cũng rất là thê thảm. Từ năm 1978 cho đến khi Cao ủy Liên Hợp Quốc đóng cửa tị nạn là khoảng 21 năm, thì có khoảng 900.000 người Việt Nam đã vượt biển. Và theo thống kê không chính thức thì khoảng 1/4 số người đó không bao giờ đến được. Họ đã chết trên biển, họ bị hải tặc bắt. Hello Ray.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you for stopping by. I know that you're on the way to Fort Davis. I watched the film several times, and yesterday at in Austin, you have a chance to show that to hundreds of Vietnamese, and I sit next to a lot of older people who are boat people like me. They are really amazed. They really touched with your product. So why you pick boat people experience?
It wasn't the initial idea. I didn't really know too much about the boat people until my uncles had shared some of their stories. My parents had left Vietnam in 1975 on one of the bigger cargo ships, so they were the first wave. They're not really considered like the boat people of the 1980s. But then I read about this gang in New York called Born to Kill in the 1990s, and a lot of them were a product of being a part of this boat exodus. Most of them came to the country alone. And I just became more and more fascinated with the history of Vietnamese people in America. I didn't learn Vietnamese growing up, and I was pretty much void of any exposure to the culture because there isn't too big of a community in the Northeast. So after I graduated college, that's when I started to read more books about it. And the most emotionally powerful and really captivating experience was reading a book that's a compilation of journal entries or diaries of boat people. And they explain all their experiences with pirates and with like people dying of starvation, heat stroke, and shipwreck, all of that. And just reading that, like I never really felt so emotionally impacted like that from just these small little snippets. And so I started to talk more to my uncles and aunts and other people who went through that experience, and that's what inspired me to make a film about that.
So there's a few Vietnamese American filmmakers have attempted to make films about boat people experience, and you choose a short film, and you choose to me one of the most impactful experience. You know, a Vietnamese boat people got attacked by pirates. Why this story struck you as something that you really want to make a movies about?
So reading about a lot of the experiences of these boat people, it's like the pirates were one of many different problems that can go on in escaping the country. But the way I saw it was that a lot of those other problems, although like every time I hear a different story, it's very fascinating. You hear about like their encounter with the patrolmen and how they like have to sneak away from that. And it's interesting once you've already read a lot of stories and you're invested in it. But I felt that the pirates was the most kind of impactful one that I could reach say, the younger audience in America, the younger Vietnamese generation like myself.
Right.
And I felt like something, especially with a short film, it needed to have a stronger punch. And like you said, I mean, I guess I guessed properly that the pirates would be something that's, very horrifying and can really open the eyes of the younger generation to see that this is something that happened, because you can't really guess.
Right.
Like, with all the logistical things about escaping a country, you don't really guess that you're going to get attacked by pirates.
Exactly.
And so that kind of conveys the whole idea of the plight of the Vietnamese refugees, and bringing back to the general theme of Vietnam. And the title of the film, Duyên Viet Kieu, it's a play off of Duyên Kieu.
Yeah, Chuyện Kiều.
Yeah, and that whole idea of the poem is that she keeps struggling throughout life, and that's like the theme of Vietnam, I think.
Right.
And so that's what I was trying to do.
Okay, so before we go into the logistic of how to raise funds and how to visit sites and start making the film, let's talk a little bit, give us a summaries of this short films.
Summary.
Yeah, the summary, what is the stories about?
So it's about a small family, and they are escaping Vietnam, and they have to go through these small channels of rivers through a mangrove forest. They find a lost helmet of an American soldier, and that serves as the young boy on the boat, who I choose to be the main character. It serves as like a kind of symbolic protection for him. They find this thing.
They feel safe.
They feel safe, and then so they make it out into the ocean, and that's when they're ambushed unexpectedly by pirates. And the pirates try to take their money, and they take all these things. But when they have nothing to give to them, the pirates get angry, and so then they kind of lash out, and it becomes violent. And I guess once you see the film, you can see what they actually do to them. But
So the story is really, to me, it's really, like you say, it's a punch. But the logistic making this movie is not simple. Like, a lot of people escape Vietnam from the river, and Mekong River, when they go into the sea, they spread out like 9 different branches into the ocean, and from there they go to the Gulf of Thailand, and I think they're being attacked there. But so when you start to visualize this movie, what is the process that you go through on writing script, raising fund, and talking about your experience, like even going to Vietnam, right? You decided to go to Vietnam to really get the experience.
So writing the script, I don't think that the script was never really like, I never wrote it and then thought I was done. I wrote it as a compilation of many different stories. So it's not like one individual story that I read. So I would either read the books that I had, pull some ideas from there, talk to my family, watch interviews, pull some ideas from that, and then so I had like a culmination of these stories together. The script ended up not, like, the actual movie is not exactly the way the script was written, because it was very difficult to film, so we had to improvise in a lot of ways. But in terms of raising money and actually making the film, it's a very kind of long-winded process that there's no way that you can really prepare for something like this, because you know that, like, the actors you have to get in Vietnam, because I didn't really trust that any Vietnamese actors or Vietnamese American actors could really portray it in a genuine way or authentic way, and so I knew I had to shoot it in Vietnam or near Vietnam, and but like, there's only so much you can do while you're in America. So the only thing that I could do was just kind of save up as much money as I could. I try to budget it reasonably, and then I just bought a plane ticket and
Go to Vietnam. So how many times you go to Vietnam?
Well, I went one time as a preliminary scout, but that was like a vacation with my family, which is the first time I had ever been to Vietnam. But that was a year before I made the film, and so the next year I bought a ticket, and then I spent 3 months in Vietnam, and that was just That was it.
But you find out later that you can't make this film in Vietnam. So
Right, right.
what country you choose to make this film
Um,
actually?
so, so I found the locations in Vietnam that I wanted to shoot.
Yeah, in South Vietnam,
In
right?
South Vietnam,
Yeah.
which is the mangrove forest. They
Right.
have all of those
Yeah.
like roots sticking out of the
As
water.
you vision.
Yeah, and so I knew that would kind of set the tone of the film.
Yeah.
But then, you find out you can't shoot in Vietnam because
Yeah.
the government won't allow
Right.
permits,
Right.
and they're very strict about shooting
Right.
anything there.
Censorships and
Right.
you never get through that.
So then I had to figure out what, because I knew I had to cast the Vietnamese actors.
Yeah.
So the next closest country was Cambodia.
Okay.
So I did a little research about where in Cambodia would have a similar, terrain as Vietnam.
Yeah.
And interestingly, most of the Cambodian border wasn't similar to Vietnam with those
Yeah.
forests,
Yeah.
but all the way on the other side near Thailand,
Right.
I found
Yeah.
like a small
Closer to
portion.
the ocean because
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's salt water is crazy. That's kind of forest uniqueness.
Right.
Yeah.
So then I found that was at it's Koh Kong,
Yeah.
Cambodia, which is like on the border of Thailand,
Right.
Cambodia and Thailand.
Right. Yeah.
And then I had to figure out how to get all the actors
Right.
on a bus to go over the
Wow.
border.
Yeah. So how long did it take you to actually really start the camera rolling?
It was scheduled for 5 days.
5 days. Yeah.
And the actors arrived 2 days before.
Hmm.
And we did a couple of rehearsals.
Right.
But really, everything was shot on boats. So
Yeah.
we had 3 boats. We had a big boat and then
Yeah.
2 smaller boats.
Yeah.
And the first day, it was very scary because we got stuck in the mud because
Yeah.
the
Right.
tide.
The tide. Yeah.
So all of our boats got stuck, and we ended up not being able to shoot anything.
Right.
So
Yeah.
1 out of the 5 days,
Hmm.
we had
Going to waste.
Yeah, complete
Yeah.
waste. And I was
Yeah.
scared because I thought like the rest of the shoot that
Right.
like who knows if I could
Yeah.
this film. I originally had a producer that was helping me in America, but
Mhm.
I didn't have enough money to pay
Yeah.
him, and
Right.
so
Right.
I ended up having to do everything myself.
Right.
And,
Right.
but in Vietnam, I had a little help, more of a translator while I was like kind of managing it. And then we also had a little bit of help in Cambodia as well.
Right. Right. You know, it's kind of amazed when I see your work and I see the product that you created. You're talking about this is not just low budget like some film that we see. This is something that you raise by yourself completely with your family help and with mostly from your own pocket to make this film because you see the drive of making this film.
Right.
And how do you feel when you get into it? You feel at some moment you say, "Oh my God, I want to give up."
Well, I mean, similar to the idea of kind of just buying a plane ticket and going to Vietnam
Yeah.
and just trying to figure it out.
Right.
And since it's my own money, it's like there's like giving up is not even an idea. It does
Yeah.
That idea doesn't exist. The concept of giving up because
Right.
you just do
That's
it
good.
until until
Yeah.
you die doing it or
Uh-huh.
you get arrested or something. Like,
Right.
it doesn't matter because
Yeah.
like you've devoted your
Yeah.
energy, your money, everything in it.
Right.
So there's no turning back.
Yeah.
And that for me, it's just like committing to it and just doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I guess it was just like it was just always problem solving.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have enough time to really understand or reflect while I was making the film. It
Yeah.
wasn't until maybe a month or two when I
Right.
returned that I was like, oh wow, like I did all these things while I was there.
Yeah.
So it took a while to process it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So you talk about reflection, and I'm really interested in that because you learn a lot from making this film. And is that something that you want to share with us? What really, what do you learn from making this film? From understanding now you dig deeper in those story.
Yeah.
You know.
On the topic of Vietnamese,
Yes.
or on the
On both, on the technicalities and also on the story itself. I mean, it's so impactful and it's so painful to me when I watch that movie. You know, because I have a daughter. I just can't imagine, my daughter being taken away and eventually get killed right in front of my eyes. You know,
right.
it's just a very painful experience. So how do you feel? as a Vietnamese and the ordeal that we went through as a boat people?
I try as hard as I can to have empathy, to have sympathy, and
Yeah.
but there's only so much that one can do when, I haven't experienced it personally.
Yeah.
Which is, it's interesting because when making art like this,
Yeah.
what I really have to do is I have to break it down to the foundations
Yes.
and understand human emotion, but in an objective way. Like I never went through it, so I didn't experience. But how can I create something in at least a simplified or dramatic way that I know other people will be affected?
Related to, yeah.
So when I was editing it,
Yeah.
I was crossing my fingers. I didn't know. It was like, I hope they watch this and they're not distracted by the logistics of it. They're not going to be
Yeah.
like, oh, that's not how it happened, or that boat was too
Right.
small or something.
Right.
But I think, now having shown
Yeah.
the Austin community and
Yeah.
my family, and there are a lot of strong reactions
Yeah.
to it, which
Yeah.
it's great. I mean, I couldn't ask for more, and it seems
Rewarding.
it's rewarding.
Yeah.
Although I'm bringing back like kind of very scarring
Yeah.
memories, that
Yeah.
it seems like even the older people, they seem very appreciative that I was able to maybe help them express the emotion, because
Right.
they like, when you try to explain it to your kids, I'm sure they can only understand it so much, but to show them a film to really
Yeah.
get them to react to it emotionally
Right.
themselves,
Right.
it may have a much stronger
Right.
impact.
I love it because you look at the story from the Vietnamese American who was born here and grew up here, and look at the event from that perspective. Maybe as a boat people, as myself, I see it. I see how painful it is. I see how impactful it is, but from a different perspective. So I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of young Vietnamese American. I see the film and I appreciate it. So what's next? What do you want to do with that short film?
With the
you
short
can,
film?
yeah. You want to share that with the audience out there. What do you want to do with the
Right,
short?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want everyone to see it eventually.
Yeah. Right.
But I think that is much more impactful when you show it into
Yeah.
these communities in person,
Right.
because it's not just about watching it and me seeing them and like having a conversation. It's them watching it together.
Right.
Like, putting it online, I can't guarantee that a family will watch it together.
Right.
Maybe
Yeah.
the kid will watch it alone, or the
Yeah.
parent will watch it alone.
Right.
But
So you want a community
I want a
to
community
watch it together.
to watch it together.
Yes.
And I think every time I've shown it to people, the most rewarding thing was when, they watch it and then all they want to do is to tell their own story,
Yeah.
because it brought back so much emotion. They
Right.
need to like,
Right.
and I love listening to the stories
Yeah.
too. And that's been the best part about
Yeah.
sharing this film, is that everyone gets to share their story.
Right. Right.
And maybe they're remembering it so vividly for the first time in a
Yeah.
while, because
Right.
watching that film
Yeah.
kind of brought it out of their subconscious or something. But
Exactly.
it seems like they get really
A
excited.
lot of time they bury that
right, yeah.
experience. So this film is just like open a door that the experience just flow out and they can't control it. Kính thưa quý vị, vừa rồi là cái câu chuyện của chúng tôi với em Ray Lê, và chúng tôi rất xin lỗi là phải nói chuyện bằng Anh ngữ, nhưng mà chúng tôi hy vọng là các em Việt Nam mà không hiểu tiếng Anh, thích được nghe bằng tiếng Anh, thì cái câu chuyện của em Ray Lê cũng đem đến rất là nhiều cái kinh nghiệm tốt đẹp cho các thế hệ trẻ Việt Nam sinh sống tại Hoa Kỳ. Và thưa quý vị, gần đây cộng đồng của chúng ta rất là giận khi mà chúng ta xem cái phim của ông Ken Burns làm về chiến tranh Việt Nam. Quý vị đã biết Ken Burns là một người làm phim phản chiến, cho nên cái câu chuyện của ông ta mô tả về chiến tranh Việt Nam có rất nhiều chi tiết sai lạc. Chính vì vậy mà khi chúng tôi nói chuyện với em Ray Lê, chúng tôi rất là mừng, tại vì có những người như em Ray, có những người mà muốn tìm hiểu về văn hóa Việt Nam, muốn tìm hiểu về cái kinh nghiệm của người Việt Nam, và dùng những cái gì em học hỏi tại trường đại học ở Hoa Kỳ để làm những cuốn phim để nói về cái kinh nghiệm thật sự của người Việt Nam của chúng ta. Vì vậy chúng tôi kêu gọi quý vị, nếu quý vị có dịp, xin quý vị hãy ủng hộ những người như là em Ray Lê để em tiếp tục theo đuổi cái giấc mơ để trở thành một nhà đạo diễn. Và hy vọng trong tương lai em sẽ làm những cuốn phim rất là trung thực về đời sống của người Việt Nam của chúng ta. Chúng tôi xin kính chào quý vị và hẹn quý vị trong những chương trình kế tiếp.